Yeah, people had always said I had a compelling stories and, you should tell it. So I want to be transparent with people and, make sure they don't make the same mistakes I do. But I basically lived 18 years, almost 2 full decades of living paycheck to paycheck. I was $400,000 in debt.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Pivotal REI, the real estate investing podcast. And today we have Larry Tuch with us. And Larry, so glad to have you. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, we have been neighbors, didn't know each other at the time, but we have been talking a little before the recording, as always. And you have a lot of fun things to be able to, and serious things too, to talk to people about. But it can be fun when you suddenly change your life. You have quite a compelling story. So I want to pass you the mic, so to speak, and have you tell people about your background and how you got where you are.
Yeah, people had always said I had a compelling stories and, you should tell it. So I want to be transparent with people and, make sure they don't make the same mistakes I do. But I basically lived 18 years, almost 2 full decades of living paycheck to paycheck. I was $400,000 in debt and, I made plenty of money because, I'm a data engineer. I just squandered it. I I used the money for the wrong things. And, eventually I had a mindset shift, and slowly and surely over, I would say like 4 to 5 years, I got myself out of bad debt, and I started building a real estate investing portfolio with my girlfriend. So now we own roughly about 8 properties all over the United States. And, now we're accredited investors and doors and opportunities are opening for us. I think probably a majority away through my journey, I learned about a concept called infinite banking and just really fell in love with it. And um, I I am doing real estate investing passively, but I really wanted to help people get out of debt and build wealth the way I was easily able to do it within those 4 to 5 years.
Terrific. Well, and so tell people your takeaway.
So yeah, my takeaway basically is that, most people have their money stuck in the wrong place, locked up where they can't move it without a tax hit, and the abundant wallet shows you how to unlock that money and put it to work more efficiently. So your capital finally works as hard as you do.
Right. Nice takeaway. And that, going from 400,000 in debt to where you are, that is amazing. And how long did it actually take?
So it was probably a total of 4 years to get out of that debt because I'm a late starter, right? I started in my early 40s. I knew and this is something I put on myself, I knew I had to not only get out of that bad debt, but I had to build wealth at the same time. There's programs out there that, teach you, totally get out of debt. Once you're out of debt, then build the wealth. It's just like, I don't have that time. So I had to do both. So
Well, yeah. And there's so many different things people try to tell you. It's hard to know which are really the good ones. But I'll tell you, I learned infinite banking and that velocity banking at the same time and confused the two. It's only been in the last couple of years that I looked again at infinite banking. I went, why the heck didn't I do that way back then? Because now I'm in my actually late 60s, and it's like, holy crap, it's not easy to get an insurance policy, right? So, it's not the same
exactly.
as if it were 15 or 20 years ago. So yeah, I'm trying to get my kids and everybody to pay attention. So pay attention, people. He's got a really good thing that he's going to tell us about. So say some more about it. Yeah. How did it actually help you get out of debt while you built wealth at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, so I started slow just because I was just reading books. I was watching YouTube videos and I I obviously saw a lot of the same themes happening, but I wanted to do what the 1 and the 2% people that, that were doing. I didn't have that money yet, but I wanted to be of the same mindset. So obviously for debt elimination, I used the debt snowball where, you kind of use you start with like the lowest balance and then you pay that off and then that payment is rolled into your next highest balance. It just really expedites your payments. I mean, I remember there was a couple cool things that I did where I was quadrupling my student loan payments and that was getting paid down super quickly. I also remember that my son needed a car and all my discretionary income, instead of the 5-year plan that I signed up, I paid it off in a year. So all that interest in, you could take anything that has one of those secure loans, like a car or a house. If you want to recapture some of that interest back into your own pocket or not pay the banks, you can look at tools like velocity banking and infinite banking. So, your money, again, your money is working harder for you and it's going back into your pocket and not to a bank.
That's a tough thing to wrap your mind around, is that you can be your own bank. And that's so true.
Exactly.
Yep. The infinite banking allows that, and that's huge. And
Yeah.
so do you actually write the policies for people?
Yes. Yes, I do. I custom design policies based on people's financial needs.
Right.
Some people want earlier cash flow. Maybe they're in their 30s and 40s and they want to tackle their next deal. So I design it that way. Maybe people want it to grow over time and they want to have a nice chunk of money, you know, years down the road. I can design it that way too. It just all depends on your financial situation and what your goals are and what you want to achieve.
And the tool, is it whole life insurance policies or is it other things too?
I a infinite banking practitioner with the Nelson Nash Institute, so I use only dividend paying whole life policies.
Okay. Does that mean that they're also mutual? What's it called?
Yes,
Mutual. Okay.
it's
So
yeah,
you
they're mutual companies. The carriers that I use are usually A rated and they're mutual companies. So instead of being a kind of like stock where you're a stockholder, you're actually a policy owner. So all of the dividends that are paid go, you know, through a rider go back um, into your policy or into your pool of money. So you're making a good decent amount of what banks don't aren't even close to paying, not even high yield savings accounts, and it's not a it's not as volatile as like the stock market. You're not gambling on that. There's a downside protection to where there's a zero floor. So you kind of get the both world, the best of both worlds. So
Yeah, well, that's huge. I know that a lot of people are not familiar with any of this, but can you say a few words to help people explain how they how what do they do? Do they call you and just one-on-one work with you to do these things, or how do you help?
yeah, yeah. I would love to have a call where they can either book on my calendar or they can hit me up on LinkedIn or email, and we can kind of get on a call, and I can kind of see what their situation is, see what their financial situation is, what they want to accomplish, and work out a roadmap for their capital, especially if they want to get into real estate or business acquisition. But yeah, they can do, I can give you all that information so that we can make that happen.
Great.
Um,
So we'll
you
yeah,
know,
we'll have you
there.
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've talked to some people who want to do it, but they're not ready. They have to get rid of some debt. So, they can actually, put money into their own bank or their own policy so they can use for some of the bigger purchases in life and or their real estate. So, you know, it's a step-by-step process. Some people are, you know, just better with money than, I was. I had to get out of debt before I chose to go down the infinite banking route. But yeah, I think it's all based on people's financial situation. So
So if I remember correctly, you said that you can counsel them on how to get out of debt while they also are learning how to build wealth too.
yeah, I'm counseling a married couple with a young child currently, and I feel like everything is relative, right? They think they're like just so much in debt, and with the snowball method, like I have them paying like $40,000 in the next 2 years, and they didn't think that was possible. And at that point, they're freeing all that money up so they can invest in something that is going to make them money while they sleep in the long run, and you know really set their son up for success. So I feel like the legacy component of this is putting a plan in for your kids who are young and having a policy of their own. So maybe when they become an adult, they don't have to take a loan out for a car, or they don't have to, you know, take out student loans, and they have enough capital to, pay this off because, their parents set them up for the, you know, to be smart with their money.
Right. Yeah. Well, and part of, I guess it might help to explain a little or try to, let me ask if I've got it right. Part of the centerpiece, I think, if I understand you correctly with how you work with this, is you set up this mechanism, that infinite banking system, so that they can be their own bank, and they have this insurance policy where they put money and it grows no matter what, but you can borrow against it and go make money or do things with that money at the same time. So if you're making 2, 3, 4% compounded over here, you can be making more still over here. So if it's like a syndication or an investment, like right now, I have one that's paying 16% internal rate of return
Nice.
over the life. But if you add that 16 and then this, it's like you're really making up for some wealth building years that maybe were only at 5 or 6% for however long, right? Your
That
401.
no, that's exactly right. I mean, there's always deals like this to be made. I mean, 16% is fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's good.
I'll do that all day long. If I don't have any, cause I, I caution people that you don't want to overextend yourself, just like with credit cards or, just borrowing money. You want to be a good steward of your money and pay that back, just like you would pay a bank back. You
Right.
want to pay yourself back. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind taking out a loan of, even if it's like 5%, which is so much less than a hard money lender or a big bank, to make 16%. So not only am I going to pay myself back the money that I borrowed, but the money that I get in addition, with that 16%, I can put that into another deal and just keep rinsing and repeating, and just now you have a system of processes that are, you know, you're basically making passive or semi-passive income. And, I know this is new for a lot of people, but yeah, I would take a look at some of these awesome opportunities for sure.
Right. Yeah. And this is a prime time for people to do it, in my estimation, too, because, I've been in commercial real estate since the 1980s, and I've missed a lot of these dips, and I've been very patiently waiting for the one we're in. So they don't come along very
Yeah.
often, where the overall market is down 20% or greater. So we're in it.
Right.
And so this is the time to be watching for opportunities, and don't keep thinking a better one's coming, though. You have to do that averaging in, right? You got to take the best ones as they come, and look at all the data out there, and yeah, take action. That's the big thing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I tell people all the time because the traditional way of getting capital, whether it's, taking a loan or talking to private lender or what have you, you're getting ready, you're scrambling, you're trying to fill out documentation so you can have all this. So you never have to get ready if you're consistently always ready, right? So if you're always ready to deploy capital and you have one of these strategies set up, then it's just a matter of time, when a deal comes across your lap and you're like, oh, I got to get in on this. You don't have to scramble. You're ready to wire the funds and you're in on the deal. So
I
that's
wish
what
I'd
makes this
set
so
one up
so
years
powerful.
ago. Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. Well, now, and the interesting thing is, so for people in my situation, my daughter just had a baby. And the way the Rockefellers teach you to do it, right? You take out
Yes.
policies, maybe multiple policies on everybody in your family, right? And your
Yes.
important workers.
Oh, yes, yes. I believe it's what they call the waterfall method. So it's basically where you have a trust that's the, beneficiary of a life insurance policy. So whenever that particular person passes, that money goes back into the trust. So your pool of money just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you take out, as babies are born, you take out policies, at a very young age. And again, they're set up for success. They don't have to look elsewhere. The Rockefellers did it did it well, and I'd like to call it like the two generation curse, to where if you it's kind of like the differences between the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers, right? The Vanderbilts, even though they were a prominent family back in their time, they didn't have these policies like the Rockefellers, to where, and even if you see nowadays, like when people, have a will or they leave money to the family, you know, people are emotional and they like things. So, you kind of have to think long term instead of just, oh, what's going to be here today, gone tomorrow. So, you know, the Vanderbilts in two generations, that money was totally squandered. If you have policies that are handed down, assets that are handed down through trusts and through life insurance policies, the generational wealth from that is going to be much appreciated from your future family, because you're setting them up for success, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate. But they're not going to be squandering and wondering, how am I going to get money for this? They're always going to have it. So, something I'm looking at for, my kids and their kids. So it's it's just a powerful vehicle. So
And it doesn't have to be where you're trying to make it so they don't have to work or things like that. You don't want to have spoiled kids. You can
no,
so set the pace,
yes,
right, with the family and the understanding, and it's a tool, a part of the legacy of the family, and you can still have, lots of constraints and controls so that you operate like a normal family.
absolutely. Like, we're not in the business of creating entitled people to where they expect to do nothing and get everything. We're contributing members to society. We want to work smart. We want to love what we do. And, I feel like abundance is more of a mindset. So in addition to the assets being passed down, the most important thing is the education, the lessons learned. And that, I think, is part of that, of, people's legacy as well, is to teach their kids and and their grandkids the way to, set this up it's not like, the, to me, the goal isn't just to retire early. It's to, it's based on the journey, right? Like if you love what you do and you like real estate, or if you're building an empire of sorts, you don't want that to, go to waste. So you want to make sure that those lessons and, the smart ways to, deal with money and spend money wisely are in your family. I'm definitely not going to just allow my kids or my future grandkids to, spend that money without working for it. I don't want it to stop with them. I want it to keep continuing. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to, make sure that they have the right mindset and that education. So
Terrific, terrific. And so this is the perfect time for you to say again what the takeaway is for people.
yeah, for sure. So, most people really have their money stuck in the wrong place. Could be locked up where, they can't move it without a tax hit. So the abundant wallet shows you how to unlock that money and put it to work more efficiently. So your capital finally works as hard as you do.
Yes, I think that's awesome. All right. Well, so like I ask everybody towards the end, and I forgot to ask you if you saw this in the notes too, but is there a pivotal person or event that brought you to where you are now or is pushing you to a certain goal? Because for instance, if you nominate, if you want to do a shout out to somebody that's meant a lot to you and they come on the show, then they get promoted as a pivotal person. They're in our newsletter forever and they get a lapel pin that says they're a pivotal person. But it could be a pivotal event too. But yeah, so I ask everybody if there's a pivotal person or event that brought them to where they are today, or is a goal that they're striving for.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I feel like I would say the pivotal couple, because they run their real estate investing mastermind as a team, is Stacy and Jen Conkey. If I was not in their mastermind, I wouldn't be where I am today. And they help hundreds of people learn about real estate. And, it's a mastery of sorts, and they educate people. Before I got into their program, I knew nothing. Just what I read and just what I saw about real estate. I knew nothing about real estate. And, um, I was obviously drinking out of the fire hose, but nothing else compares. I mean, they 10x'd my money, well worth it. And, you know, don't look at it as an expense. It's an investment in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, the world is yours. You can go as far as you want.
Well, that's terrific. Yeah, I know them too. They are high energy, very deliberate with what they're helping people to do as well, which is usually investing in real estate. And they're here in Orlando. Well, no, they moved to West Palm, Did you know that?
Uh, oh, did they? I thought they were in West Palm first and they moved to Orlando, but
Oh, maybe.
I could have that backwards.
I reached out recently though, and yes, I will let them know. But so since they were local here, you can nominate them as a local legend as well, or pivotal
Yes.
people. Local legends, they have to help a lot of people.
Yeah, no, and they've been doing that for, going on 20 some odd years.
So
Yeah,
I agree. Local
they're
legends and pivotal people.
yeah,
That
for
means they'll
sure.
come back on
Absolutely.
the show. They came on a couple years ago, probably. But
Okay.
yeah, that's
All right.
great. They'll
Cool.
be hearing that. So super. I did not realize you knew them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today with the mindset that Jen teaches and
Okay.
the real estate that Stacy has been part of, and she's, educating, hundreds of people that are in the program. So, anything after that would just not exist. I would just still continue to work my job and hope for the best. But no, they opened my eyes to so
Terrific.
much.
And
Yeah.
just a note on Jen, because she does a lot of mindset stuff with the hypnosis and NLP. So I broke
Yes,
one of
she
the
does.
boards, I broke a board to
Oh, yes. Yes.
do that. Yeah, yeah. And
Well, that's great.
yeah, she
Yeah.
does a great job with the mindset, and it's a big deal. And I, at every chance, do tell people that I managed to quit smoking after 33 years through hypnosis
Excellent.
with NLP, not with Jen, but I went to 2 practitioners in Palm Beach County, highfalutin people, and I one-on-one, it didn't work. But in this room full of people with the right person, you got to have the right hypnotist. It took
Oh,
like that. I never had another craving, which is huge.
that
So
that's incredible.
it is.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I see that all the time. Like people are, being hypnotized on stage, and I don't know. Sometimes I think I can be hypnotized because I'm such a deep sleeper, and then other times I'm like, does that work? But obviously it does. So yeah, that's
Well, it's
great.
different for everybody. But there are some people that do go really deep, deep, and can be told to do unusual things. But it's different for everybody. And yeah, the right hypnotist will help you to do it. But anyway,
Very
so
cool.
we do need to wrap it up. So tell people how they can reach you.
Yeah, yeah. So love people to go onto my website, theabundantwallet.com. You can book a session there, even if you want to just, talk or have a conversation just to see where you are. I'd love to contact with you there. Any The Abundant Wallet handle on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and it's Larry Tuch on also on LinkedIn and Facebook. So it's Larry and Tuch. And you can always email me at Larry at theabundantwallet.com.
Right. And so I have to point out your the wall ornament behind you. I shouldn't call that.
Ah, yes.
Yes, your logo.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yes.
explain
Yes.
that, would you?
Yeah, of course. Of course. So obviously this is a wallet. You'll see, just for a contrast of color, light blue and dark blue, but you'll notice that there's kind of a bar graph going up, and this is how your money is escalating as you build wealth. And as you and your mindset are turning from scarcity to abundance, it's good. It's increasing from where you start to where you want to go. So yeah.
Perfect. All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Larry, for coming on. I hope people get something out of it. We'll have your contact information in the show notes, and we'll give you a chance to, if there's anything you want to add to it, you'll get a chance to do that. And so thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Good. All right.